Well, welcome to the MAM Journals. Some of you may recall that earlier this year I did a full video on the 996R. I wasn't exceptionally popular at the time, as I revealed that there's actually 700 of these made worldwide rather than the 500 that was in the public perception. So I did get struck off one or two Ducati owners' Christmas card lists. But of course a lot of those 700 are no longer ridden, and I'm sure that some of them have gone to circuit heaven as a result of being used properly. I try and ride my bikes 2 or 3 times a year, and I've now done this year probably about 300 miles on this bike. I think it sort of keeps all the seals and the gaskets moist, stops them going dry and leaking, and I actually like to ride them, and I like to put some fuel through it as well, which brings me to the sort of next issue. This is probably the last time I'm going to take this particular bike out. I will continue riding into the autumn, but I wouldn't want to drop this one on greasy roads if for no other reason. I don't think I'll be able to get the parts. They're getting pretty scarce now to get the original parts replacement if you need them. But one of the things I've got to decide to do this year is whether I actually want to drain the fuel out, with ethanol being more prevalent than it's ever been, and bikes not liking the fuel left in them. Then I might just actually start draining the bikes down. I'd sort of managed to avoid all that, and I've always got some concerns that the seals will dry up without anything in them, but I'll give that some thought. I do actually always use the super graded fuels when I go, and this currently has the SO99 plus in, which hasn't actually got any ethanol, but whether that changes in time, I guess we will find out. So I've enjoyed riding it. It's a very different bike to ride than a modern sports bike. They're actually much narrower in that sort of handlebar position. Your elbows in rather than elbows out, which is the current fashion. But what a phenomenal bike it is to ride. Its suspension has come on a long time in 20 years, and as you can see, it's fitted with Öhlins front and rear. And in those days you had either sporty suspension, track suspension, or you had comfort, and bikes nowadays seem to do both. But as I say, it's fairly uncompromising, and it doesn't really like bumps, but on a smooth road, phenomenal handling. And of all the bikes I've got, I suspect this is one of the best on a handling bike on a long sweeping fast corner. It's probably inappropriate on a video to talk about speeds, but certainly when you're cracking on a bit, this thing feels absolutely planted, and that front end in particular is very, very precise. I think the only bike I've got, actually, although I've got many more modern bikes, the only bike that I've got that is anything like as stable as this is actually a completely different sort of bike, my Hayabusa Gen 3, which I bought earlier this year, which is again phenomenally stable on long sweeping bends, although nowhere near as nimble as this. Despite the fact that this is a 20-year-old bike, it was registered or launched in 2001, they are still remarkably fast. They do 175 miles an hour, produce 136 brake horsepower, and for those of you into Newton meters, it's just over 100 Newton meters at 8,000 revs. So quite some performance to still be in that sort of performance level. Quite some bike. It will cook you in traffic, as I found out on a couple of occasions this year. They do run very hot at low speeds, and as indeed did my 1098 and 1198s. You can see the temperature gauge there. They get right up to the top there if you stand them in traffic, but they go quickly back down again as soon as you get back on the open road. But have I enjoyed it this year? Yes, I absolutely have. I consider it a privilege and a pleasure to own a bike that's firstly as good looking as that one, and that has such a history and heritage. So anyway, I hope you all have a good day and you've enjoyed the update. I'll be doing, if you do enjoy the videos, please do press subscribe, and just to give me some feedback, if you're watching and enjoying the videos, then if you'd be kind enough to press like. I'm currently working on a few others and plan to do a detailed full-length journal report on my GS 1200, and I'm also doing some modifications on a Royal Enfield 650, which is gradually making progress, and I should be having that out in the next couple of weeks as to the updates on that. But anyway, in the meanwhile, ride safe.